Kevin Minnick from NJ.com to find out what game he was at, if the weather had a factor, and what his go-to breakfast is. Kevin, you're not having beer and chips, right? You're having a healthy breakfast.
No, no. I'm in all honesty, Pete. Maybe it's probably not healthy, but I'm not really a breakfast guy. Here and there, I'll go to the diner and get myself some eggs and some Italian sausage, but for the most part, I'm not a breakfast guy. So I have to, I'll have to pass on, I guess, on that one.
Yeah, I've got like the morning banana and the muffins, but I'm not a huge breakfast guy. I mean, listen, to me, breakfast sometimes, like the big breakfast, is like the vacation thing. Like that's what you do when you're on vacation is, well, we're up and we're here, so we might as well all go together and have like a big, gigantic breakfast.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, a vacation, maybe a little cruise or when you're, got the family away, you'll have some breakfast. But that's, like I said, I'm not a big breakfast guy. I don't get up in the morning and feel the need for coffee or anything like that. So, but I'm ready to go. So it's okay.
Sounds like you and McGarry were sharing press box space last night, or were you the tougher of the two and you went down on the sidelines? How did that work out? You were both in Williamstown, right?
Yeah, I went to Williamstown Vineland last night. Was going to walk the sideline, but it was a little misty out for most of the night. And, for people that know, follow us, we've got to keep our own stats. And sometimes that can get a little bit messy with some precipitation. So sat in the box last night. It was a decent game. And, I think people failed to remember that Vineland had reached the South Jersey semifinal last year and lost to Williamstown in that game as Williamstown went on to win the sectional title in South 5 and then played in the bowl game. But, I thought it was a very good game between two teams. I think, we saw what we kind of thought Williamstown was going to be like, to start the season, that they were going to be strong on defense. And the offense was probably going to take a little while to get together. And that's kind of what happened last night. And, a lot of new guys on offense, but defensively, Williamstown, returns 10 starters and they swarm to the football. And, Vineland just, Vineland's going to win some games. I think Vineland is going to be a very good football team. They went up against a team last night that is just at least on the defensive end in the first week, was ready to play. So, they scored, Williamstown scored a touchdown right before the half, took a lead in the halftime, added a couple more. And, the game probably was never in question after they went up 21-0 late in the third. So, but an entertaining game, and the third or fourth I've seen already this season. With the early start, and we're going to see a lot more.
No doubt. We're talking with Kevin Minnick, NJ.com. Your colleague Bill Evans saw Cinnaminson and Delran, and Cinnaminson pulling that one off.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to read too much about anything from last night for the most part, but, that was a game that they had moved up to the 0 week from the traditional Thanksgiving game. And,
okay.
Delran, Cinnaminson had won the division last year by beating Delran in that Thanksgiving game. And, Cinnaminson's got himself a real nice lineman, two-way lineman, and Cam Horsley going to Boston College. And, they've got a veteran team. And, while Delran has, arguably one of the best athletes in the state in R.J. Moten, I think Cinnaminson just had too many things, for Delran last night. And, obviously, week one is, it's just the first of many games yet to come. But, that kind of really sets the tone for that division and puts Cinnaminson in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, in fact, Delran's coach saying after the game, look, we just have to have short-term memory and go 7-1. We still have the opportunity to go 7-1. I mean, it's always funny to see what the quotes are, and that's your job too, right, Kev? When you go to the guys to see what their impressions are after a game. Like, for example, what did Dan Russo say last night after you got done with the Williamstown Vineland game? He obviously, is disappointed, but realistic about where his team is.
Sure, and to be honest with you, that's what you want as a reporter when you're talking to coaches. You really want to hear the honesty. Kids will pretty much tell you exactly what the deal is, but sometimes coaches will sit back and maybe not give you exactly how they feel. But Dan last night, he admitted that, Williamstown is an extremely solid team. They're extremely well disciplined, although they had a ton of penalties last night. he knew he was going up against a team that was basically a defensive juggernaut and could be the best defensive team in South Jersey and one of the best defensive teams in the state. So, he knew they didn't move the ball all that much, but they'll go back, they'll look at things, and they'll go back over and maybe, pick up a couple lessons from the game and be fine going in the next week. And, there's coaches that will tell you, most coaches will tell you, we just want to go 1-0. We don't want to go 7-1 or 8-1. We don't want to make the playoffs. We want to go 1-0, and if we can go 1-0 X amount of times in a row, things will take care of itself. So I think when talking to coaches after games, sometimes some say more than others, and after 50, you talk to a coach for 5-10 minutes, and you go back and you listen to things, and you realize maybe he didn't really say anything, but at least you give the coaches an opportunity to what's on, tell you what's on their mind, and whether you use it or not is up to you. But Dan was honest last night, and I think honesty, it's old school, but honesty is the best policy.
No doubt. Kevin Minnick with us talking high school football. His Twitter handle at Kevin Minnick Sports, at K Minnick Sports, KMINNICK Sports. You also got the chance to talk to Christian Foreman, and that's his first varsity start last night. What were your impressions of that young man? And he's finally getting the chance to lead Williamstown, and obviously big shoes he had to step in.
Yeah, the last couple of years, the last 2 years, really, Wade Inge was the primary running back, and J.C. Collins was the quarterback. And, these two kids were explosive offensive, two-way players for that matter, but explosive offensively, and really got most of the carries, picked up most of the yardage between them. So, you're sitting behind them, you want to play, but, in all honesty, the best kids are going to be on the field. And basically what Christian Foreman was, he was a good teammate, and he knew he was going to have to wait his turn. Now, some kids would see that and bail, and some kids might see that and, I can go somewhere else and maybe play. But, he stuck it out. And, this year, even though he is a senior, this is going to be this is his opportunity to really show what kind of player he can be. Same goes with a lot of other kids on that team, the quarterback, Dougie Brown, being another one. You're now given an opportunity to play. So you've all the hard work, all the weight room, all the practices. Okay, now's your time, so you better make the most of it. And, when going back through the game last night, I was kind of surprised. And the Foreman carried the ball 27 times. And, that's an awful lot of times, for one guy on a team that has a lot of athletes. I was kind of surprised in the amount of carries he had, but, never really broke a long one last night, but did have some really nice runs, scored a couple of touchdowns, and, that's got to do wonders for his confidence moving forward.
Kevin Minnick with us here on the Pete Thompson Show on 97.3 ESPN. So you retweeted from Lindenwold Athletics that Maple Shade 21, Lindenwold 20, but then the Philly special. I mean, Kevin, this play continues to work. You'd think they know it by now.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened other than what that tweet was, and I'll retweet a lot of different things from schools and teams, just to get that information out there, because obviously you can't be everywhere. But for a team to win a game like that, I guess in its season opener, had to be pretty nice for their confidence, and I guess Doug Peterson can be happy that play works on a number of different levels. It
just seems to work every single time. Pittman Athletics, you retweeted this one too, 9-8 over Dickinson. That's an American League score, right, at Davis Field?
Yeah, you might think so, but that's kind of a big deal for Pittman. Pittman is a team that had lost a tremendous amount of kids, just pure numbers. The kids weren't playing football, and they dropped their varsity to a JV level. I want to believe it was after the 2016 season, and the last couple of years had been tough on them. And Chris Thomas, the coach over there, though, he has stuck it out and has tried to build them back up to where there's enough kids that they can go out and play a varsity schedule. Now their varsity schedule this year won't be a West Jersey League schedule; it's an independent schedule, and they'll play some teams I think that'll be competitive for them. Teams that you look at them and you'd say, well, that team that team's been struggling too. So it should make for some more competitive things. But Pittman is very realistic. They know they're not going to win a championship. They're not going to make the playoffs. But if they can go out and give kids an opportunity to still play football and play competitive games for the level in which they're at, that's a bonus. And that's a huge thing for them trying to build their program back up to the point where they can get back and play a West Jersey League schedule, which I believe they're going to do next season. So, the Dickinson team I know nothing about. I know they came from Delaware. So for them, for Pittman to win 9-8, and for those kids to have an opportunity to play varsity football, no matter what the competition is a big deal for Pittman. And, it's nice to see that they were able to get a result in their first game.
And this is why, folks, we have Kevin Minnick on each Saturday, because he can provide background on schools like Pittman and their struggles with their football program and the chance to maybe get hashtag Pittman Panther Pride. I will say this quickly, Kevin, that, boy, I'm sure every year when the West Jersey Football League has their media day, you wish that you could truly get through to all, 65 schools or all 66 schools? Like, listen, if you guys would have somebody who just monitored your Twitter account, you'd get all the coverage you needed.
Yeah, Pete, actually, the West Jersey Football League is 95 teams.
Oh,
it's the second of the 6 conferences in the state, as far as numbers are concerned. The Super Football Conference up in North Jersey, I believe, has 114, maybe a little bit more than that. But West Jersey is in its 10th season, and its goal from the very start was to provide every team with a full schedule, because at that, you go back that long,
yeah.
Teams were looking for games. Certain teams didn't want to play each other. Games weren't competitive. So what the West Jersey Football League was, it gave relief to schools. It provided them with a full schedule against teams of similar size and similar competitive balance.
Okay.
So in its 10 years, while there are, nothing is perfect, it really, really has done what it set out to do. And I think most coaches will look at it and say, they're happy with it. From year to year, it maybe doesn't work out. Last year for Delran, playing in the West Jersey League and the schedule that they had, even though they went 8-1, they didn't make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, in that particular situation, okay, it didn't work out for them last year. But for the most part, the West Jersey League has done and accomplished its goal, and will continue to do some really nice things. I think they have some plans in the works next year to try to maybe bring a couple showcase days down to the shore area, where in 0 week, double 0 week, we can get a couple, maybe a double header or even a triple header on a Saturday, with some out of town teams and really showcase some of the better teams in the league. So they have some ideas and things they want to explore, but the West Jersey Football League has done what it set out to do.
Oh, I like that. I mean, no disrespect to the Penn Charters of the world or whoever Ocean City's renting out their field to, and before the New Jersey season even starts. But let's get some teams that are our teams.
Yeah, I know that there's, I know Wildwood, they host a couple games down there from some Catholic League or some Philly League schools. But, I think, it would do wonders for the state of New Jersey, and especially for South Jersey, if Ocean City or an EHT or any team really from the South went down there and played maybe another South Jersey team or even a team from North Jersey, just to kick off the season and really kind of showcase what South Jersey football is all about. Because, if you pay attention to what's going on in South Jersey, South Jersey is loaded with talent. And, I think over the last 5 to 10 years, it's really exploded. And, we came out at NJ.com with our top 75 players in the state who our opinion of the football staff. And if you look at that list, South Jersey kids in the top 20, there's a lot of them. And these kids are going big time places. So, South Jersey has a lot to offer when it comes to football. It has a lot to offer, team wise. And, if you look at it on an individual basis. So an opportunity to showcase some of this talent in the first and second week of the season while the weather's still nice down the shore. They can stop on the boardwalk and get their slice at their favorite place and really make a day of it. So I think that's one thing that we can look forward to.
From your lips to God's ears, or whoever's making those decisions. We're talking to Kevin Minnick here on our South Jersey Sports Report segment of the Pete Thompson Show. And, you talk about competitive balance in the West Jersey Football League. Clearview 14, Kingsway 7, double overtime. That sounds like a thriller, and that sounds like a good, even, balanced game.
Yeah, that's another game that was bumped up, a traditional Thanksgiving game. Been bumped it up this year to the week 0. Kingsway is going to be, I believe the construction is, if it hasn't started, it will be starting soon on their stadium. So as of right now, they'll be playing all their quote unquote home games at Rowan University. So, that's a game, the two teams, they don't refer to themselves as we're playing Kingsway or we're playing Clearview. We're playing that team. We're playing the green team, the red team we're playing tonight. So, there's a rivalry there, and the schools are not that far apart, only a couple miles between on 322. So, a big matchup for both teams to start the season. I kind of figured it was going to be a close game, and for it to go to double overtime, obviously proves that out. And, Clearview's a team that went to the South Jersey Group 4 final last year, brought back a couple of decent kids with some experience. Kingsway, the same way, a competitive team under Mark Hendricks, who's a Deptford guy, but a guy who's been around and is a very good football coach. And, that was going to be a slugfest, so to speak, and it turned out to be that way. And, Kingsway or Clearview wins the game. I think Mike Ancone, the quarterback, scored the game-winning touchdown in the second overtime. So really sets the tone for Clearview. Kingsway by no means is out of things. They'll jump back next week. I believe they have Washington Township at Rowan. So, they'll look to bounce back. But, another first opening day game for two teams that turned out to be extremely competitive and, will prove itself out and give both teams an opportunity to see where they stand right now.
Last question. Where are you headed today, Kevin?
You and Mike McGarry will be holding hands again this afternoon. The Saturday schedule, for the most part, high school football is taking on a life of its own. So for the most part, Friday nights are dominant. So Saturday schedules are usually on the thinner side. So I kind of think that Cedar Creek at Salem is probably the best overall game today. I know West Deptford will be playing Paulsboro at 11 o'clock, another huge game in Gloucester County. But, Cedar Creek and Salem, another opportunity for Cedar Creek to play a competitive team. Salem is always tough, even though they're Group 1. They're tremendous athletes down there. They've got a lineman in Josh Johnson, who was among the leaders in the state with 10 sacks last year, committed to Elon. And I think, he may get a couple offers and maybe look for a better opportunity, but another opportunity for Cedar Creek to put its athletes on the field and do what they do. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Malachi Melton has in store for us this weekend, and Louis Barrios behind a quarterback for Creek, and at the same time, I'm looking to see who the big guy is going to be for Salem this year running the football. So going to be a good. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I think it's the weather looks nice. The sun is out. The field will be dry down on Walnut Street in Salem. So, we're getting ready for that game at 12 o'clock.
Good stuff. We'll be following you on Twitter at Kevin Minnick Sports, and you definitely want to follow Kevin's work on NJ.com. For example, great articles like on Angelina Schilling. She's a female kicker now kicking for the Deptford Spartans. Not the first female kicker, but definitely a good story there. Is you got to follow Kevin on Twitter and follow him at NJ.com to get good content like that. Thank you, Kevin. We'll talk to you again next Saturday, my friend.